electronic invention I want you to see. Well, I have a wonderful electronic invention I want you to see. Well, I have a wonderful electronic.
Hello and welcome to another fantastic episode of the Vapors Report. It's Friday again, so it's time for liquids. I'm Anthony Ramella.
And I'm Tommy.
And this week we're going to feel a little salty. We're going to look at some of our salt liquids that we just got in for the new Vapors line. We're really pretty excited about this. We're also going to look at some pod systems. We're going to talk about a couple things real quick first. As you know, we do have an Expo coming up at the end of March here in Toledo. If you live anywhere near Toledo, Cleveland, Michigan, wherever, you got to come to this Expo. It's really inexpensive to get in. Vapors is a sponsor for this expo. We're going to have a fantastic booth there doing giveaways and all kinds of stuff like that. We're really excited about it and we want you guys to come out. So it's March 30th and 31st. Put it on your calendars and come out and see us. The other thing we have going on here at Vapors right now is our Stop Smoking or You're Gonna Die sweepstakes. This has been a huge success. If you come into one of our Vapors stores, you can go to vapors1.com and find all of our locations. You don't even have to buy anything. You come into one of our stores, one of the associates here will hand you a card, you fill it out, you get put into the drawing, and you can win free e-liquid for a year. Free e-liquid for a year. Now there's a second and third prize place. It's like 6 months of free liquid and 3 months of free liquid. We want you guys to try our stuff, but we really want to help you stop smoking, and that's what this contest is all about. As you probably already know, the New England Journal of Medicine just recently released, if I can talk this morning, recently released a thing about e-liquid and about quitting smoking. When you're quitting smoking using patches or gums or things like that, you have some success. But it is now official that vaping will help you stop smoking twice as much as all of those other products combined. So we're really excited about that release. It is, Good Morning America released it. There's been a lot, New York Times even released it. So if you want to find out this information, it should be pretty easy. Go online, New England Journal of Medicine, e-cigarettes, it'll probably come up in a few places. So like we've done in the past weeks, we're going to try some liquids, but this week I thought, there's a lot of people out there using pod systems. There's a lot of people out there using salt liquids because they feel like it's the way that they get the best hit and it's more like a cigarette, and that's what helps people to stop is if they can get something that's really close. So our Vapors line liquids, like I said, we just released a bunch of new flavors, and along with that we also released some salts. So today I thought with me and Tommy we would actually go through some of the new pod systems that we've got in as well as some of the new flavors, and you can come into any vapor store, check out our taster bar, and actually try these salts in a pod system so you know exactly what they're going to taste like when you get home. And you can do all of this for free. You don't have to spend any money. Just come in, sit down at the bar. One of the guys here will help you out. So today, the first flavor we're going to try is actually a mango flavor. Now, this has been very popular with some of the other salt companies and some of the other pod style systems. This mango flavor is absolutely delicious from what I hear. I'm not big into the salts myself, not big into the pod systems either, but that's why I've got Tommy here with me. He knows salts, he knows pod systems. So we're going to try this one out. It's mango. What kind of pod system are we using?
So on this, for the mango, we have the Artery Pal 2. It's kind of a hybrid system. So
okay.
What that means is it's not, you don't have a pod that you just ditch like a Sorin or...
Well, what's it look like?
So in the back here, you have your pod.
Oh, okay.
And then the pod actually has a replaceable coil, which I prefer in a lot of the devices that use the nicotine salts because it ends up being cheaper in the long run.
Fantastic. I would think replacing a coil would be much cheaper than replacing a pod.
And then, especially with something like this, you have two different kinds of coils.
Okay.
In here is the 0.6 mesh coil, since we're using a lower nicotine salt. You know, we're using a 15, which is really low if you know your nic salts. So a 0.6 mesh is kind of perfect for that.
All right.
But they also have a higher I think it's a 1.2 coil, which would be better for the 30, 35, 50s that some people are using.
So it's just like all the vaping products where it actually will allow you to kind of customize it to what you like.
Right.
So if you're using a high nic, maybe a certain coil will work better for you. If you're using a lower one, maybe this coil will work better for you. And that's the nice thing. If you come into one of our stores, we can actually kind of help guide you to the right setup. So you're going to get the best flavor and the best hit and satisfaction, and that's what this is all about. So
and that's one thing I like about this one specifically is that because it has a 0.6 mesh coil, you can actually run regular freebase juice in it too.
Oh, that makes it nice. So if you don't like the salt, you can go that route as well, or you can keep stepping down your nicotine levels.
Exactly.
And that's one of the things I like about this new line of liquids. These are available in 50 nic, 30 nic, and 15 nic. So you can actually start stepping down even your salt nic. And then when you get down to the 15, if you want to go to the freebase to step it down even more, you have that option.
Right.
And this particular device will allow you with coils that will let you do that.
Yeah, and the other thing I really like about this is it has adjustable airflow.
Okay.
So say you want like a really tight cigarette style hit with, you know, high nicotine, you can do that. You want a slightly open hit, more of a restricted lung hit.
Okay.
With the 0.6, you can do that too. Right?
All right.
That's the biggest upside to like the hybrid systems for the most part.
Cool. Well, let's try this flavor, see what it tastes like. Yeah.
Yeah, that's it's mango. I'm not a huge fan of mango, but you get the really juicy kind of.
Oh,
you don't get a lot of that mango rind that a lot of mango flavors really get. But that one is just, you know, pure mango, and I'm sure the people who like the mango little pods that some places put out.
Well, and the nice thing about this mango is it's much less expensive. I mean, you're getting 30 mils there for probably the same price as a pack of those other.
Right, because those are we have these in our shop for $14.99. So a whole bottle, you're looking roughly around the same price as a pack of those pods from wherever you're getting them.
Yeah, and the nice thing is if you're using one of those styles, I mean, you're getting 4 pods there. You're getting like less than 3 mils of juice. But with this, you're getting 30 mils of juice for the same price. And with the cheaper coils going into this, you're actually saving yourself money. And I got to be honest, that's got a nice hit to it.
Yeah,
I really do like that. And I even like how, I mean, I like the size. Sometimes I'm not always about the smallness of these, but that's actually a decent little size there. And what's cool is it'd fit right in your pocket. So it's something you could just carry around, you know, it would be stealthy and, you know, that's really nice.
With that small form factor too, it still has a battery that will last you all day. It's 1,000 milliamp hour. So,
oh, that's a big battery for a little device like that. Absolutely, that's awesome. All right, for you guys out there that are just kind of getting into vaping, some of you don't want a mango, some of you don't want a strawberry banana, some of you want to stick with that tobacco flavor because that's what you're used to. We also offer things like that. This is our Marlboro Red flavor. This should be just a tobacco style flavor, and if you're just getting out of smoking and you want to not go to something extremely sweet, this would be a nice thing to transition to. On this one, we're using the Nord, which is a new pod style device from Smoke Tech. This has gotten rave reviews. We are selling these like crazy. Tell me a little bit more about that.
So with this one, it's also that hybrid style system. It takes that replaceable coil.
Okay.
The pod itself holds 3 milliliters of juice. So
that's considerable.
It's a lot. I mean, if you think of the those little, like we were talking about those pods earlier, those only hold 0.7 mils of juice.
Yeah.
So this is almost 4 of those pods.
Wow.
These are actually a lot more simple. You don't have to unscrew anything. The coils actually just pull out and pop in.
Oh, okay.
Kind of like a plug-and-play system that we had on the Crown 4.
Sure.
But this one also has a mesh coil.
Okay.
So it has the 0.6 mesh, and then it actually has 2 1.4 ohm coils, and one of them is a ceramic coil.
Oh, okay. Fantastic.
So ceramic
so
for
all
some people.
kinds of options. Right. I mean, so if you like the ceramic, if you like the mesh, it gives you options to mess around with that and customize it to what you like.
And the good thing with the ceramic, some people say, it's a cleaner flavor. I personally haven't had a ceramic coil ever.
Yeah.
It's something that I don't really look into.
I love the way this looks, by the way. This is a gorgeous looking little mod, and what I like about it, it's not plasticky at all. This is actually metal. I mean, this is a heavy duty kind of thing, and that's what's important with some of these pod systems. You want to make sure it's something that can hold up. Because of how small it is, you're probably going to drop it. It's going to happen, and that's what I wanted, something that was a little bit heavier duty with not a lot of glass showing or anything like that. This just has a little level here. It kind of shows you your juice in there, but most everything on the tank side or the pod side is plastic, and then all the rest of the mod is metal. That's actually really nice. All right, I'm going to try this one. Oh yeah, I remember that flavor. What surprises me is how smooth that is. I typically don't do tobacco flavors because I'm kind of past that in my vaping experience. But that's actually not bad. If I had a craving at some point that I needed some tobacco, that is actually really smooth. That's some issue I've had with some of the other salts is typically they're so harsh that I can't vape them. But I got to be honest, this Vapors line, this is actually really smooth. I'm kind of impressed with that.
And the thing that I like about I started recently using tobaccos again.
Okay.
I have gotten back into mouth to lung because I use the pod systems a lot. In my Nautilus X, actually. That hits similar to like a Nautilus X or a Breeze.
Right.
It doesn't have that adjustable airflow, but with that tobacco flavor, it's real smooth.
Well, the airflow seems perfect for
Right.
me, too.
And-
So that's like why I
and
wouldn't
it's-
need to adjust it.
With that, it's that tobacco flavor too. It's it's a Marlboro. It's a little bit sweeter
Yes.
than but you're also looking at not burning a leaf. You're just getting the flavor of that leaf.
Yeah.
In a juice.
And I
form.
feel like anything that's going to have vegetable glycerin in it, it's going to have a little bit of a sweetness
Right.
to it, because vegetable glycerin is a little bit sweet. But I'd much rather have my tobacco flavor coming from something like this that has 2 or 3 ingredients in it instead
Right.
of something that's I got to light on fire and it's really poisonous to
Right.
me. So yeah, if you like that flavor and you're thinking about getting into vaping, if that's the type of cigarettes that you smoke, this is a definite option for you. Now you don't have to get it in rainbow. If that's not your thing.
Yeah, we
but
have,
that
black
one's
and-
actually pretty sexy.
we have black and gold too.
Okay,
for the
so
Nord.
if you just like straight black, I'll take that in any color as long as it's black.
Right.
Usually everything comes in black. I'm that kind of guy. I like my mods to be in black, but rainbow is probably one of the top sellers when it comes to the vape world.
Yeah,
so.
and the cool thing about this too, it has actually a bigger battery than the PAL.
You're kidding me.
Yeah, it's 1100 milliamp hours.
Wow.
So
1,100 milliamps out of something this
Yeah,
small.
and
That's amazing.
And I have one that I use on a daily basis too, and I get almost 2 days on it without having to charge it.
Okay, that's really awesome. All right, so next up, we're going back to those fruits. Thank God. No, just kidding. Guava Strawberry for us is, in our regular house liquid, the #1 selling fruit flavor we have, by far. I mean, it is an absolutely delicious flavor. It's something that I know I have people that have vaped this same flavor for years. They just don't get tired of it. So when we decided to go with a salt line, we thought, this would be a perfect step. So Guava Strawberry Salt, this is the next one that we're going to try here today. Looks like we're going to be using the Sprite.
Yep.
Now the thing is, we actually use the Sprite on our taster bar because we really feel like this is a great little device. It's very simple to use, and I do like that it has a big juice capacity,
Right.
and that to me is a huge selling point. Tell us a little bit more about the Sprite.
I'm going to show my bias a little bit.
Fair enough.
I've had a Sprite since we got it into the store. It's definitely been my favorite pod system.
Okay.
It's just super simple. The pod it's kind of pressure fit in there. It's held in with 2 little nubs that kind of hold it in.
Okay.
But it's another one of those hybrid systems that uses a coil, a replaceable coil. And actually, the coil that they use in this is the same style as the Aspire K1s and the Aspire BDC tanks from 4 or 5 years ago.
So that's nice, because that means that if you are out and about, you should be able to pick up that coil
Right.
anywhere, because it's used in multiple tanks.
Yeah.
But yet they've found a way to actually use it in a pod system.
And the greatest thing about it is, like I said, it's simple. You have a little flap at the bottom there to just pull up and fill.
Okay.
You only really have to take it apart when you need to put a new coil in. But easy fill, easy to use, easy holding.
Yeah, I like
And-
the way
and-
those were designed, because you can actually really tell how it lines up.
Right,
So
and-
some of them are a little confusing. You don't know exactly which way they go in. That's actually
And
really
I think
nice.
the best thing about it, just from me using it for the last 6 months, it's pretty durable. I have this thing where when I'm driving, I use my Sprite a lot.
Okay.
And I know everyone does it, but they take their mod and they stick it in between their legs when they're not using it. And I'll forget that it's there because it's so small.
Right.
I'll go to get out of my car and it'll just hit the pavement.
Oh, okay.
I've dropped my Sprite probably 30 times and it still works. And I think it's just because it's so light, made out of aluminum, that it just kind of
Yeah.
lets everything rattle
So it's
around.
durable, and that's
Yeah.
that's an important thing when you're talking about a small device like that.
I'm going to adjust the airflow a little bit.
All right.
I like this one to hit kind of like a cigarette.
Okay. Let's give it a rip, see what these taste like. I can't imagine Guava Strawberry tasting bad, but we're going to see what the salt's like. And that is the thing, too. If you're trying a liquid in freebase, it's going to taste different as a salt
Yeah.
because of the way the nicotine is set up in it. And that's why I like to try them to see, okay, is this really going to taste the same? We have other flavors that I may not like as a freebase, but for some reason I like as a salt. So that's
Right.
unusual.
And I'll say this much, especially with that higher nicotine, you don't lose any of that flavor. It tastes exactly like the freebase and
It
like
really
a
does.
3.
Yeah.
But when you get because we have the Guava Strawberry up to, 24?
Yes.
once you get that high in freebase, you're kind of losing a lot of flavor because the freebase, while it's the purest form of nicotine you can get, it gets bitter at that higher nicotines, and which is why you mount to lung that, unless you're crazy. There are some people out there
that definitely do that, yeah.
But with that, I mean, I could see that even going up to a 50 and not tasting any different.
Now, one thing I do want to mention, and I'll ask Tommy about this. Now, let's say I have one of these pods that have a replaceable coil in it, like the Nord or the Sprite. What if I break the pod? What do I do?
So,
do I have to buy a whole new device?
No. So for the Sprite, we do have the replacement pods in the store. And the Nord, I know we're working on getting.
Okay.
The PAL, that one isn't going to, I don't think you should be able to break this one just because of the way it comes out. The only thing that really has any contact is the metal plate with the little pins at the bottom.
Okay.
So
now I know something that Tommy doesn't know. That's why I asked him the question. Today, just today on Friday, we're actually releasing the pods for these as well. So if you do break a pod for one of these, we can actually just sell you the pod. And then with the Nord, the pod actually comes with 2 more coils.
Nice.
So
Okay.
it's a nice little kit that comes together. So if you do break one of these, you snap the mouthpiece off or
Right.
something like that, don't freak out. You can come in and just buy this like you would buy a replacement glass for your tank.
Right, and the Sprite, that's one that, will wear out over time because of those metal nubs rubbing up
Right.
against the plastic. I got to the point where I could just slide mine in and out like it was a pen.
Right. Okay.
But the other thing with the hybrid pod systems is if you get another pod, you just have another tank.
Yes.
So you can have a different flavor, and then you can, especially for the Nord, because that one, I haven't had any wear on it at all. You could just put another flavor in there and just switch them back and forth.
And that's what's nice, especially if you're first starting out and you want that cigarette style hit and you're saying, okay, I'm going to go with a pod style device, which is fine. What's nice is some people who are coming right off of cigarettes can't go straight to mango. They can't go straight to strawberry.
Right.
But they still may like that flavor. You have a couple of these pods, you can start out in the morning with a cigarette flavor. You can start out with a coffee flavor in the morning. A lot of you do that coffee and cigarette in the morning, and that's a nice transition thing. Later on in the afternoon, feeling like something fruity, just throw in one of these other pods and you're good to go.
And I will say buying multiple pods is definitely a lot cheaper than buying multiple tanks. And
Oh,
multiple
yeah,
devices.
by far. Yes, by
Not
far.
everyone can be me with 7
Yeah.
that I carry with me to work.
All right, so we're up to the next flavor here. I've actually had an opportunity to try this just because it's so delicious. Somebody kind of forced this on me and said, hey, you got to try this. This is our s'mores flavor in our salt line. And like I said, all these salts are available in 50, 30, and 15 milligrams, so you can kind of step down if you want. I got to be honest, I really like this. Now, I have not tried it out of the device that we're going to use here, but you really get those marshmallow and chocolate notes in this that I think are absolutely divine. And getting strong flavor out of a salt is not the easiest thing. I mean, and this, our line has actually done a fantastic job of doing that. So what device are we using for this one?
So for this one, we actually have the VAPORS Panda.
Okay.
This one is the only, up until this point, it's the first true pod system that we've shown off.
Okay.
Has a massive pod.
Massive.
And also a very strong magnet, so it's
Yeah.
kind of hard to open sometimes.
Yeah, I actually
But-
like that, how that just kind of, you just drop it in there.
Right. So this pod is a 5 mil pod,
That is a big pod.
which is a lot, especially when you're talking about people who are using Nic salts. That's double the capacity of the Sprite.
Okay.
And with these ones, because it's a pod, when it goes bad, you just toss it.
Okay.
I always tell people to recycle them because it's plastic and metal.
Right.
But you could just get rid of it, and we have pods that you just buy.
So like buying a coil, except you just buy the whole thing.
So it's basically just built all in.
How many
into it.
fills do you think you get with one of those?
Roughly, from what we've seen from customers who have this one, we're looking roughly like 5 to 7.
Okay, and how long would you think, like a one fill on a pod? Is that a day's worth? Is that a couple
Yeah,
days worth?
if you're using it as a salt and it is your main device, a 5 mil pod will probably last you 2 days.
Okay.
My Sprite being a 2.5 mil pod, I use it as more of a secondary device.
Okay.
So I get about 2 days between fills.
Okay.
So if I had this, I'd probably be looking like 4.
Yeah. So 4 days between fills, and you get about, let's say, 6 fills on a pod. You're talking 24 days. I mean,
Right.
that's a long time to have one thing that's going to cost you what, $3 or $4?
Right.
Yeah.
And everyone's experience is a little different. Some
Sure.
people who only have this as their own device, they'll go through, in 2 days, a day, 6 hours. But, and everyone's different. And that's the thing with vaping is that, you can't really put an exact time frame on it.
Sure.
So, I mean, I always tell someone you'll probably get about 6 fills, and that just depends on how much you use it.
Right.
But the reason I like that it's called the Panda, because the white and black one actually looks like a panda with a really messed up ear.
Yeah. Okay.
That's probably my favorite. I kind of want to go take the one out of the case and put googly eyes on it.
Yeah.
But this one's super simple, just like everything else. You turn it on and it's a button.
Okay.
There's no adjustment to it. You fill your pod up. There's actually 2 different pods. One is a 1.2, which is what we have in here.
Okay.
Which will give you roughly about 8 watts.
Okay. All right.
And then the other one is a 0.8, which is roughly about 15 watts
Okay.
off the device. So you have that option to get something a little bit stronger too, which you can still use the salts in, even the higher end salts, like a 30, you could get away with on a 0.8.
Yeah, and I really like this device just because of its simplicity. A lot of them you have to clip the pod in a certain way, or it's got to be.
Yeah.
This one you just drop it in, put the top back on, and you're good to go. And for those of you out there that are looking for a simple device that you can fill once and have filled for a couple of days, I don't want all of the blah blah blah. I just want something easy. I like the Panda. It's compact. I love the feel of the outside of it. It's almost got like this rubberized coating on the outside. And those of you that like lanyards, they even made a spot on the bottom where you can clip a lanyard on, so you can just hang the thing around your neck if you really want to.
And the cool thing about that too is that's actually where your airflow goes through.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, so even if you put a lanyard there, it's not going to obstruct anything.
Right.
But your airflow goes bottom up, so it's kind of like a traditional tank, but without all the extra hassle.
I know they want us to try this flavor,
Yeah.
so let's get that handled. Because I want to try the flavor again. It's delicious. So one of the questions I want to ask you while I'm trying this is, so if I take one of these home, can I just plug this in and use it like with my wall adapter from my cell phone or something?
So you don't want to use your Samsung or iPhone wall adapter. At least, most of those will charge over an amp.
Okay.
I know the iPhone bricks are usually about 2.5 amps, which is not really good for something with a battery this small.
So what would you recommend?
So we have our own. We carry a couple wall adapters. One is made by Aspire, which is almost like just under an amp, like a 0.8. And then we have some other ones that are a little bit cheaper. They're half an amp. They charge a little bit slower. But using something under an amp is going to be a lot better for these than, say, using your phone. If you don't want a wall adapter and you have a laptop lying around, you can plug it into your laptop, or even to the front ports on like a game console.
Okay.
The back ports are more meant for data transfer, so those are higher output
Okay.
ports, but anything under an amp, really.
So the bottom line is just make sure that whatever you're charging this with is going at 1 amp or less.
Yeah,
that's kind of the bottom line. Because what we've seen with these, if you use something from like a Samsung phone, I had a gentleman that came in, he used a 6 amp charger from one of his other devices, which way overcharged the battery and actually killed the device in 1 day. So it is an important thing. And if you don't have the battery life that you're used to out of your device that you've been using, and you've been charging it with a wall adapter that came from your iPhone or from your Samsung phone, that's probably why.
Yeah.
If you've ever had a computer you had to leave plugged in all the time because the battery wouldn't take a charge, this is basically what you're doing to this.
Right.
That's exactly the same thing. And it's probably one of the #1 things that we see in the stores is people just don't have the knowledge. They would do it if they knew, and most of us unfortunately don't read instruction manuals. It is in there, unfortunately, but the good news is you can just watch a video on YouTube and they'll explain that to you. They'll let you know. Unfortunately, none of these companies actually provide a wall adapter with their devices, which I really wish you would, and if you're watching, please start doing that, because I want these devices to last people for a while, and that's the thing at Vapors. We're not out to just get your money. We want you to use these devices for as long as you can, because our goal is to get you to stop smoking.
And I would much rather have a wall adapter included than the little charge cables that they give you.
Correct.
Because you can use any cable.
You can use any cable,
but you just can't use your Samsung block.
Right.
Now, then that's more specific to like these.
Correct.
Some of those bigger devices can handle a little bit more. You still don't want to go over a 2 amp charge on it, but say you have like the Drag Mini, you can get away with like an amp and a half.
Right. But I mean, if you want it to last as long as possible, the slower you can charge it, the longer the life you're going to get out
Exactly.
of the device. So, well, these are the pods that we're looking at. We also have other pod systems available. I just didn't have any more salts to show you today. So if you're interested in pods, you can go to vapors1.com. You can look at the pod systems that we have available there. If you're interested in some of these salts and you want to get some more information about that, vapors1.com. They have all that information on there about the salts. And so we've tried our 4 today. We've tried some pod style devices. Look like I got one more pod and another juice down here. So that means it must be time for the juice of the week. All right, welcome back, everybody. Like I said, it's time for the juice of the week. Every Friday at the Vapor stores, we release a new flavored liquid. So there's always something new to come in and try. It's still me here, Anthony, with
Tommy.
And we're kind of excited about this one. This is a new line that we're actually going to start releasing here at the Vapor stores. It's the Nitro line. We had a flavor here called Coffee and Donuts that did very, very well. We know there's a lot of you coffee drinkers out there, young and old, and we know that that has spread everywhere. So this week's release is called Nitro's Cold Brew Macchiato. This is a caramel macchiato flavor. For those of you out there that like those specialty coffees, this may be right down your alley. I know not everybody likes the sweet stuff, and so we like to give you kind of a balance with that. There is a little caramel in this, so there is going to be some sweetness to it, but it will have that bitterness of the coffee. We just got these yesterday. These are actually getting released in our stores today, so I have not had an opportunity to try this. So I'm kind of excited. And secondly, the device that we're actually going to use, I've never had a chance to try that either. We just got those in as well.
Right.
So tell me a little bit about the MePod.
So the MePod is, again, the only other true pod system that we have. Takes replaceable pod there, and this one's actually draw activated.
Okay.
So this one doesn't have a button to press to make it fire. It's going to be more along the lines of like a Soren, where you can just pull on it.
Now with these devices like that one, is there a way to turn them on and off?
Yeah, so this one actually has a button down by the charge port.
Okay.
That, it's 5 clicks to turn on and off. So you don't have that issue of keeping it in your pocket while it's on and an auto firing. You can turn it on and off.
Now, do all of these devices do that?
Yeah, so all of them will turn on and off. That's at 5 clicks of the fire button. Even the other draw activated pod system we have, the Soren, has a actually on and off switch.
Okay.
So they're getting away from always on kind of devices.
And what I like about these is with the technology that's come out, safety is always a concern. And I talk to people in my daily life that are like, I'm educating them about vaping. They don't really know about different things. So they ask me about things blowing up and all that. All these devices have safety features now built in. If you throw it in your pocket and you accidentally leave it on and that button's pushed for a few seconds, it's going to turn itself off.
Yeah, it'll be really hot, but it'll stop itself.
It will. And you don't have that concern about carrying something around with you. But if you know it's going to be in your pocket for a while or purse, just 5 clicks and turn the thing off.
Yeah, and I've actually had, you haven't had the opportunity to try this company, but I have.
Okay.
They were actually at last year's Midwest Vapor Expo.
Oh, okay.
So I had the opportunity to try that one and the vanilla bean that they have.
Okay.
Which is also fantastic.
All right, well, let's give it a rip, see what it tastes like. This MePods too, these things are interesting. They have a really nice airflow to them and this really cool Elvish script around the side. So if you know what that is, you're a nerd, but so am I. But what I like about that is it's something unique. It's something different. It's like one of those little snowflake things that you don't always get to see. But if you're in a vapor and you like this collectible stuff, it's actually really cool looking.
So the reason they're called cold brew, they actually use a little teeny touch of menthol in there. Makes it nice and cold, like you're drinking a cold coffee.
It's really smooth. I like the coolness. I kind of, that's awesome.
Yeah,
I really
the Nitro's cold brew stuff is fantastic. I'm not a coffee. I don't really care for coffee vapes all that much, but theirs perfect. It's not bitter like some coffee flavors are, and it's just sweet enough that I like. It's good for me.
And I'm like I said, I'm not a coffee guy either, but that's actually really good. I'm excited about that. Well, like I said, today's the first day of release on these. I actually don't know anybody else in town that I've seen with this. So, and we're kind of like that. We try to be cutting edge. We want to have that stuff out there that is new and exciting, and that's why we do these episodes, because we want you guys to see the new and exciting stuff that's out. So, here at the Vapors Report, we are dedicated to making sure that you get information that you need, because we want you to stop smoking or you're gonna die. All right. So tune in next week for another great episode of the Vapors Report. I'm Anthony Ramella.
And I'm Tommy.
So tune in next week, same vape time, same vape channel. Thank you, and good night.
Wonderful electronic invention I want you to see. I have a wonderful electronic invention I want you to see.